Hello, everyone. Welcome once again to Dynamics TV. Today, we continue to the third step of our tutorials on paint making, how to make paint. You'll recall that we started with scaling. Ultimately, if you don't have that video, if you have not watched it, just look for it anywhere around the step 2 and this step 3. You'll find the link to that step 1, because actually there is a need for you to understand step 1 for you to be able to move to step 2, step 3, and so on and so forth. If you must understand what it takes to make paint, because the foundation of a thing matters a lot. So step 1 is sort of the foundation. It is scaling, and there's a need for you to understand it before you can proceed. So after step 1, we went further to step 2. And step 2, we talked about the containers, how you containerize your paint. We talked about 4 liter, and we talked about 20 liter. That these are the things that you need when you are containerizing your paint. And we also touch a little on branding, putting your name on the plastics. Today, we want to look at what the next step should be once you have your container. Because now that you have your container, you have your 4 liter with you, you have your 20 liter with you, the next thing that you need to do is to fill up your container with the content. And the content in this case is paint. So you don't just have your container for having sake. You don't have the 4 liter for having sake. You don't have the 20 liter for having sake. You've not branded your container for branding sake. You've done all these things so that ultimately you'll be able to market something. And what you're going to market is your content. And your content in this case is the paint. So today we'll start that process of what you put into your container, the content that's coming into your container. So this step today, which is step 3, we'll be looking at emulsion paint. All that you need, or what are the first things that you need to put into the container during production of emulsion paint. So today we look at this third step in the production of paint, and actually the production of emulsion paint. So today we are going to look at what we put into the container after we have the container. Alright, so as you can see here, this container is empty. There's nothing inside this container. It is an empty container. So if you follow through with the step 2, you know that this is a 20 liter container. As you can see, it's a 20 liter bucket. We call it bucket, but this big one is usually called drum. So when you get to the market, for instance, and you want to buy paint of this very liter, you're going to be asking them, how much is a drum? So the seller will understand what you actually want to buy. But if it is the 4 liter, which is this, you're going to be asking them how much is for a 4 liter container. So usually we just go there and ask for these 4 liter container, and then you can talk to them about this by calling it drum. They will understand. It's just a bit of difference, but you can still tell them that you want to buy the, the big bucket of paint. You can still tell them you want to buy the big bucket of paint, or tell them you want to buy the small bucket of paint. The small bucket is actually this 4 liter. It's 4 liter. Then the big bucket is actually this 20 liter, as you can see. 20 liter. You know, this one has already been branded, and we said it on that day that it's been branded. And the name on this is Dynamics Paint. You can see emotion paint. So what it means is that this container is good to go for production. But something I would like to clear is, if you have the container and you have not branded, you don't have your name on it, you can still go about producing your paint and selling it that way to people. But in that way, you are not spreading your name, you are not spreading your name. People just get your paint, they get the quality, but they don't know where it is coming from. They don't know the company that's producing it, but they know that the paint is good. But if you want people to identify with your brand, then there's a need for you to brand your bucket. There's a need for you to brand your container so that people will be able to identify with your brand. And once they identify with your brand, you know that that's a pathway to success. Imagine people coming from different places and they are saying they want to buy Dynamics paint. If somebody calls from far off, oh, Dynamics paint, it's because they already know that that's a name, is a brand name. But if it's not branded, nobody knows who's producing it or who owns it in that case. So branding your container is very important. If you don't have the money to pay the printers to write on your bucket completely, then you may decide to just print on normal A4 paper and print it out as a sticker and stick on it. If it's even in normal A4 paper, you can just use a gum all over and stick on the container with your name on it, or you do a sticker, probably an SAV, and then cut it out and stick on the bucket so that people can identify with your brand. All right, having said that, today we want to look at emotion paint as a content inside a container. And so what is this step, which is this step 3 in paint production? We want to look at the first thing that comes into the container when you decide to produce paint and you already have the container. The first thing that comes into the container is water. And please, before you put your water inside the container, make sure your container is clean. Make sure there are no stains in the container, there is no sand inside the container. Let the container be absolutely clean. So once the container is absolutely clean, no sand, what you need to do now is put water. That's the first thing that basically comes into your paint container when it comes to paint production. Put your water into it. After putting your water, then you can decide to put other chemicals. All these will take in series of other steps. All right. So putting water to some people might be just that easy. Just put water and then you just get it. No, but it's also more than that. Because I told you that everything in paint is done by scaling. If you don't understand scaling, you won't understand paint production, because there are so many chemicals involved in paint production. And because of that, you need to scale. So the first thing that you will need to do is to understand the number of liters that is needed inside that container of yours, that 20-liter container, so that you would experience a situation where your pen becomes too light, or where when you're producing so much, you don't understand the quantity of water that you are actually supposed to have in there, even if you are producing 10, you're producing 20. But if you understand already the amount of water that is supposed to come in, even if you are producing so much, you know the quantity of water that should get in there. Now, typically for a 20-liter bucket like we have here, 8 liters of water will do, except in a case where the container seems bigger or whatever, then we can be looking at 10. And these 8 liters of water will also depend on the quantity of your raw materials that you're using inside the container. Here we're actually talking about emulsion paint. So when you want to produce, the first thing that you need to do is to have that container. And once that container is clean, you have it on ground, the next thing that typically is expected of you is to put water inside that container. Now, this is a 4-liter container. This can be used to get your measurement. So when you fill it to the top, that's 4 liters. So let's see how it goes. So here we already have water inside of it. We'll just turn this water. And that's 1. That's 4 liters. Now, when you have put this first 4 liters inside the container, the next thing that is expected of you is to put some of your chemicals, not all chemicals, but there are just a few chemicals that will need to come in at this junction. And we'll be dealing with these chemicals as we proceed. So once these chemicals come in at this junction, then you typically keep the other 4 liters of water somewhere. And so when you keep this 4 liters of water somewhere, you're also going to use it to mix the chemicals, some other chemicals that are coming in. You're going to use that other 4 liters to mix them, to also get a level of feel by the time you have put those chemicals. And that will be the last point. The only thing that will make you add additional water is when you discover that the quantity or the fullness is not up to what you are looking for. Then you just can add a little water. But also in this case, you have to be very careful, because if paint is too light, it actually may not be attractive to buyers. Buyers may not be happy when paint is too light. So you have to be careful with water when you're putting water. So if you go with this method of using 4 liters, which is actually 4 plus 4, 8 liters of water. And the easiest way to know is to use this 4-liter container bucket. So when you use this 4-liter container bucket, you get the actual measurement. But if you still decide to scale it, that's not a problem. But typically, this 4-liter container bucket will do the job for you. So you have it 4 liters, that's number 1. Then you have another 4 liters. It comes together as 8 liters. It sums up to be 8 liters. So when you have 8 liters of water in that container, then your paint is good to go. Alright, this is step 3. So subscribe to my channel, share this video, comment, like this video. Why you are wait. Step 4. Thank you so much. God bless.